Here's Brody Brazil.
You know, I've been around a while, as you know, and I think the first year I started covering the team was the year after Mike Grier was a San Jose Shark. Now, what's crazy about this is you have been around since the last GM was a Shark, and now you're around when the new GM is a Shark. So I don't have, like, I wish I had the history with Griersy, right? Like, I never got to do the interviews with him. I never got to really know him. I mean, I just know him through other people, but I think the one icebreaker I want to tell him right off the bat is, hey, we have something in common. He'll say, what are you talking about? And I'll say, well, you had to carry Curtis Brown as a teammate back in the day, and now I have to carry Curtis Brown as a teammate in my job. So we both have that to fall back on.
He'll have a lot of sympathy for you in that regard, won't he?
What? Yeah, probably. What's the memories that, like, you know, we could talk about what he's going to do as a GM, but did you see him as that type of person, as a player when you were broadcasting during those eras? And what stood out about him back then?
First off, I once cursed his name because I used to be able to work out in the Sharks dressing room, and he had this workout right beside the treadmill. And it was a running workout with inclines and things like that. Then an ab workout.
Okay.
Yeah, I did it once.
And that because you couldn't anymore?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it was exhausting. Yeah. And I remember doing one set of ab work, and I'm sure I cursed his name several times during that. Not sure why I ever did that, but
so a physical specimen. Let's establish that as a player.
Always in phenomenal condition. Always a true professional. I always thought he was going to be a coach. Okay. I always thought he was because of his mental acuity when it came to the game. He had a high hockey IQ. He always was in control. You know, he had a fire. Like as a player or as a person, you're saying? As both. Okay. Both. He was always in control of his emotions. Yeah. You know, I look at a guy like Mike Grier, and I'm not sure where I stole this saying from, but there's a difference from playing with emotion or being emotional. Okay. Because emotional means you're out of control. It means your emotions have control of you. Right. Mike Grier played with emotion. He played with fire, but he was always in control. Mike was, you could tell he's one of the leaders in the dressing room. You could tell the guys looked up to him. And I always thought his because of his hockey IQ and his fire for the game, I thought for sure he was going to be a coach. And he did. He coached in Jersey there. But it shouldn't be surprising to anybody knowing his family background. Yeah. Of his dad and his brother in the NFL and their management history with New England and Miami. Yeah. Yep. That you look and go, well, that shouldn't be a surprise. Right. You know, he's learned from his brother and his dad. He's also a guy that I think when this opportunity presented itself, people saying, is he ready? Is he ready? Well, is anybody ready to be a GM if you haven't been a GM before? Right. But I like the fact that it was a guy new to the job. And the reason I like that is because when we hear about other hirings of a GM or a coach, we say the same thing. Oh, they're recycling guys again. Right. We get any fresh ideas? We get a new guy in here? Right. I think you had to have a guy come in who had a tie to the Sharks, but not so close that it made him biased regarding some of the tough decisions he made already, and he's going to have to make as the future rolls forward. That's a great point. And you know, the other thing is people talk about that new blood, but I think the task at hand, right? Like you could talk about him and his objectives and who he is, but what he's facing right now would be a tall task for a lot of different people. And it's not just the not making the playoffs 3 years in a row. It's really the roster and already the tough decision of trading Brent Burns. Like that's, you know, when that thought comes to mind, when those conversations happen, that's not the easiest thing to go out on a limb and do, but he did it. I just think that it's hard. It's going to be hard to really put anybody in this situation, let alone somebody who hasn't done it before. Yeah, it's not like when Doug took over from Dean Lombardi and it was a job, it was like, ooh, this is a coveted job. I mean, this is something, you know, there was a lot. Greg Jameson, who was president at the time, interviewed a lot of people around the league. And he kept coming back to Doug. And, you know, Doug's record pretty much proves it was for good reason. Yeah. Dean had left Doug a good blueprint. Right. But then Doug took it to a new level. Right. Now, with With Mike, it's not a blank slate, of course, but it's a little murkier water than Doug had to wade into.
Right. There's some big blocks here in terms of pieces.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
You got long contracts on some aging guys.
Right.
You've got a lack of a top 6 group where you can get, yep, that's our top 6.
I agree. Yeah.
Right. I'm looking at Boston signing today when they signed Krejci and they signed Bergeron, they signed Zacha. You look at their top 6 and you go, yeah, that's a top 6.
That's who they are. Yep.
That's who they are, without a doubt. This one is a little bit more. There'll be some fluctuation there for David Quinn. He's going to move guys in and out. So it was not a job where you thought, oh, I'm coming in and then within a year we're winning the Stanley Cup.
Right.
Mike knew he was going to have to put some work in, but I like the groundwork so far, and he did it too with new people in charge as well, new hockey operations people.
Right.
And I think, again, that's something that needed to happen.
It's another thing we didn't talk about was the restructuring internally of the hockey operations side. One last thought on Grier. I mean, people will say, okay, he's going to turn this around. What's the time frame? I'm honestly, first off, it's not year one. Based on what was handed to him, it's probably not even 2 years. It's probably maybe after 3 years, are you where you want to be? And that's competitive, advancing in playoff rounds and making a case for yourself. So I don't know. I'm not asking you to put years on it, but I'm saying it's not this season that they instantly are a Cinderella story.
Yeah, never say never.
I'll keep this video, but if it is, by the way, I'll replay that. I'll say, look how stupid I looked.
No. Well, obviously I lead the category there in that department. But Kevin Constantine did it because he got guys to buy in. Now, he had some really special players there, but that special group turned into something that they got it. They grasped the concept. They all had something to prove. And once they got the ball to the boulder to the top of the mountain, it started rolling down. Now, this is a very different group, and the NHL is very different. If you look at, say, one of the teams I really like that we didn't look at in the last couple of years, 2 teams, Ottawa Senators, Detroit Red Wings.
Yeah.
Okay? 2 really fun teams now to keep your eye on.
Right.
But it's been a process.
Yep.
Steve Yzerman doing what he has had to do in building that group back up again. And Pierre Dorian in Ottawa, you can tell they're thinking, okay, now's our time.
Right.
But it took, like you said, it took about 3 years. They had to draft well.
Yeah.
They made the trade with Carlson. That really turned out to be beneficial for them because they got Stützle out of that and a couple other guys. They've turned those picks into top players. And now they go get Giroux. Then they go get Cam Talbot first. And they're a team that they think now this is their next step available.
Yeah.
So with the Sharks, what I want to see, Brody, when I'm looking at this team, where are they going to be, is in March, let's be playing meaningful games.
There you go. Okay.
Let's see a consistency of growth and evolution in these players. Let's see some of those young guys that are going to be surrounded now by, as you talked about, solid NHL proven guys. Let's see them take another step, like Noah Gregor. We thought Noah, you and I talked about it many times on Sharks pre and post, is that Noah had a growth there.
Right.
Let's see Nudavara come back from injury. Let's see Lindblom be able to become a really solid 2-way player like we thought he was going to be in Philadelphia before cancer.
Right.
There's a lot to talk about with the Sharks that right now you're kind of in hope mode.
Right.
Best positive outcome mode. But if David Quinn can build with these guys and get them to continue to improve and continue to add to consistency to their game, maybe you can play some meaningful games in March and April.